Well, people, this should be fun. Bubba. They call him Bubba, right? If you can't notice it, he's really got the hat on, got the country flair, right? Got some gear. Who is that? Man, that's Bill Clinton. That's still Bill Clinton. Straight up. Well, Bill Clinton's in the news today. He mentioned about this border control. Sure did. I said he sure did. And I want to go and kind of iron this thing out because, as we get closer to the election, countdown 2024, what is that, 21 days left, 3 weeks, whatever. There's going to be some twist in terms of the logic. Trying to find a creative way to say, look, if they're being fraudulent with their words, it's just politics, or should I say politics. Anyway, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Franchise Pearson. Welcome to Franchise Blue. It's October 15th, 2024. Happy Tuesday, 5:51 p.m. Let's say it together. Praise our God, from whom all blessings flow. So let's listen to Bill. What happened was that they called a viral moment for Ford. Bill Clinton invokes Lincoln Riley in discussion of border security. The young lady who everyone says died right out her college campus that was jogging, and an illegal grabbed her and killed her. Let's listen to this here.
And on the immigration thing, she's the only candidate who has actually endorsed a bill that would hold down immigration in any given year to a certain point, and then make sure we gave people a decent place to live. We didn't divide people from their children, and we did total vetting before people got in. Now, Trump killed the bill.
Yep.
The bill was being written by senior Republicans in the Senate, and he killed the bill. Why? He had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't he? They made an ad about woman been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted, that doesn't happen. And America is not having enough babies to keep our population.
He said, we're not having enough babies, so we need migrants, just got to bring them over the right way. So Bubba gave us the introduction, but check this out. Well, Fox News ran something to kind of iron out what Still Bill been talking about, okay?
Okay, Bubba needs a fact check, so let's fact check Mr. Clinton there. Look, this drives me to no end, just enrages me, because number one, Biden tore up the executive orders of the Trump administration.
Right.
Number two, he always had Section 212F authority under the Immigration Nationality Act. Let's pull this up. He could have done this at any moment, where it says, whenever the president finds that the entry of one alien or any class into the U.S. would be detrimental to the interests of the U.S., he may, by proclamation and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all or any class. Not only that, he had executive authority. He also had control of Congress for 2 years. We'll put this up when Democrats controlled the presidency, the Senate, the House, January 21 to January 23. As you pointed out, David Webb, the bill he is talking about came after this period.
It's a minor detail.
After the period. And how long we've been hearing that Trump is the one that did the damage and tore up the bill? And let's read this again. Section 212F of the Immigration and Nationality Act, okay? Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or of any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may by proclamation and for such period as he shall deem necessary, as he shall deem necessary. Look at that, as he shall deem necessary. Suspend the entry of all aliens or any class. I think it's pretty basic, right? I mean, you can't argue with that, right? Now, just so happened that Donald Trump was on Glenn Beck's show. And Trump addressed that same issue and how Bubba kind of helped him. Check it out.
Heard this yet? I want to play some audio. This is Bill Clinton today talking about Laken Riley. Listen to this.
You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted, and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up, so we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work, there wouldn't be a problem.
I mean, he sounds like he's campaigning for you.
Yeah, that's come a long way. You see, that's probably where they're going, because they were for open borders, no talk, anybody comes in, just walk right into our country, which is insane. And now all of a sudden you're hearing people talking about, well, you know, we need people to come in. But the damage has been done. You have to say...
The damage has been done. Ooh, that's a reality I don't want to hear. I'm sure it's a reality that you don't want to hear. But the reality, the damage has been done. This is one of the saddest moments in American history in terms of saying, ooh, let me point at the other president. You know what? Let me just read something here. I pulled this up. There's a lot of different views, and this is the best one I could find. Trump didn't kill the Senate border security deal. And you're welcome to comment in the comment section. The deal's provisions did. Okay, the provisions did. This is by Elizabeth Jacobs, February 27, 2024. President Joe Biden and multiple news sources have blamed the failure of the Senate's recent border bill on Republicans' desire to keep the border crisis in the news, or some say simply because they were instructed by former president and now presidential candidate Donald Trump to do so. I cannot tell you what former President Donald Trump has or has not said to congressional Republicans on this issue. What I can tell you, however, is that the Senate bill would have done little to improve border security or reduce illegal immigration into the United States. There's a good reason to believe even that it would have increased illegal immigration across the southern border. The most important point to understand is that the Senate bill did not even attempt to address the known pull factors for illegal immigration across the southern border. These pull factors include principally the near guarantee of release into the United States after apprehension by a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officer. People, can you believe what you hear? Can you wrap your mind around this one? The Democrats have been pointing fingers ever since Americans realized that these illegals were coming over in droves. And look, for sake of argument, I would say that the media is complicit in not spelling out that. Let me just keep reading. Migrants can expect a near guarantee of release for a few reasons. Primarily, an almost 30-year-old court settlement prohibits the U.S. Department of Homeland Security from detaining migrants who arrive in the United States with a child. Remember I taught you guys about 2 days ago? That's the gimmick that they started doing. For example, they would take 1 or 2 adult migrants and have 3 to 8 kids with them, knowing that this was on the books. You understand? But there were already migrant adults here who knew, allegedly, the destination of the kids. And that's how they would be able to come over. And then the adults would go back, and they'd come back maybe a few months later with some more kids. Look, it's crazy. I'm just saying what I've been reading. If you heard anything like this, put in the comment section. They figured out a way how to skirt the law and get around this thing. And Trump's like, look, I'm not trying to be heartless, but we got to stop all this nonsense, period. It says, or as a family unit, for more than 20 days. At the time the settlement was issued, 20 days could be reasonably expected to complete immigration proceedings for illegal border crossings. Given today's immigration court backlogs, however, it is nearly impossible to provide a final decision on an alien's immigration case in 20 days. Wow. Second, DHS under Biden administration leadership has done nearly everything in its power to ignore federal laws. Wow. That requires DHS to detain illegal entrants pending completion of their immigration proceedings. Section 235 of the INA is clear that aliens who submit credible fear claims shall be detained pending the completion of their proceedings. Inadmissible aliens who do not demonstrate a credible fear or return must be removed without further hearing or review. If they are placed in what is known as expedient removal proceedings or detained pending completion of standard removal proceedings. This thing crazy. The law only allows DHS to avoid detention, although if it chooses to return an alien who crosses the southern border to Mexico to wait for an explicit immigration court hearing consistent with, this is what I've been hearing. This is what I've been hearing. This is what I have been hearing. And this employs what I believe the Holy Spirit gave me when I started doing YouTube again. It's the 5 Ds at work. Delay, deny, debate, derail, then destroy. Destroy means now you got admission. Man, again, goes back to what I've been saying. I know people might get mad, but look, God's laws, God's order. We who know how things should be to protect our country, we need to be in charge. We need to speak up. We need to push our will. This is crazy. Let's go back and hear this again. This is worth hearing again. Let me find this here. This is worth hearing again. Let me see. Get this right. Go back to Bubba, right? I mean, this is just 140 mark. 140, yeah, 140. Okay, let's get this here.
Pour up the executive orders of the Trump administration.
Right.
Number 2, he always had Section 212F authority under the Immigration Nationality Act. Let's pull this up. He could have done this at any moment, where it says whenever the president finds that the entry of one alien or any class into the U.S. would be detrimental to the interests of the U.S., he may, by proclamation and for such period at.
So instead of hiding behind, why didn't Joe just do it? Why didn't Kamala just do it? This is insane. We're being victimized. That's the way I look at it. Let me dovetail into something else. Kamala Harris interviewed yesterday. I brought this up. She was on TSR. It appears Kamala Harris is trying to beat Trump at the punch in terms of who to interview with. Okay? So here we have Kamala Harris steps in with Justin Carter to discuss how she'll deliver for black men. And now all of a sudden she got this program to give, $25,000 to first-time homeowners. And I told y'all, I don't believe nothing she say. Believe what she said a few weeks ago in her 60 Minutes interview, a week ago. I was involved in all the major decisions that Joe made. I don't see I should do anything different. But listen to this here.
So I think it's really important to focus on the stakes of this election. And there are two choices. And I ask everyone to look at the background, look at the work, look at the words, to have a sense of how you then choose to use the power of your vote on Election Day. But there is a very big difference between Donald Trump and how I will be president of the United States. And I cannot impress upon people enough that this is somebody, Donald Trump, who intends to take us backward. Look, this man won't even debate me a second time. He won't even debate me a second time. He didn't do the 60 Minutes interview, which I believe every presidential candidate for president of the United States has done. He will not take up the important responsibility that every president...
So that's her push. That's her push. Now check this out. I found this from 15 hours ago. Grab the Popcorn reports Kamala Harris could join Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah, she want to go with the big dogs now. Check it out.
So she actually just announced she's doing a sit-down interview with Brett Baer of Fox News. Apparently, the latest scuttlebutt is that she's also considering a potentially 3-hour-long sit-down with Joe Rogan, the very popular Austin, Texas-based podcaster. I can't imagine how bad her internal polling is that she's agreeing to a sit-down interview with Brett Baer of Fox News and potentially 3 hours. God help us if we actually sit through those full 3 hours with Joe Rogan. Kamala Harris is not in good shape. I mean, this has all of the indications of a campaign that is currently going down the toilet. She is losing momentum at the exact worst time possible. All of the polling is shifting Donald Trump's way right now. She peaked a little bit too early. They had that bump after the coup of Joe Biden leading up to the DNC in Chicago. But by the time August turned to September, she had the debate. It went fine, I guess. But by mid to late September at the latest, it was basically over for her. And look, I don't want to prematurely call it. I'm not saying the election's over, but she had reached her peak. She had reached her peak in polling at this point. Now she's just flailing. So she was in Erie, Pennsylvania. I think that...
Is this why Obama came in? Look, people, I know I've been back and forth, but she blew it. Unless there's something I don't see, or unless there's some hanky-panky that day, read between the lines, this man is right. This man is absolutely right. Listen to this breakdown again. I think this is an excellent summation. Excellent summation. Check it out.
Brett Baer of Fox News. Apparently, the latest scuttlebutt is that she's also considering a potentially 3-hour-long sit-down with Joe Rogan, the very popular Austin, Texas-based podcaster. I can't imagine how bad her internal polling is that she's agreeing to a sit-down interview with Brett Baer of Fox News and potentially 3 hours. God help us if we actually sit through those full 3 hours with Joe Rogan. Kamala Harris is not in good shape. I mean, this has all of the indications of a campaign that is currently going down the toilet. She is losing momentum at the exact worst time possible. All of the polling is shifting Donald Trump's way right now. She peaked a little bit too early. They had that bump after the coup of Joe Biden leading up to the DNC in Chicago. But by the time August turned to September, she had the debate. It went fine, I guess. But by mid to late September at the latest, it was basically over for her. And look, I don't want to prematurely call it.
I think he's right. Let's look at this date. Let's look at this date here. Let's look at this date and we'll find out. Joe Biden on 7/13 said, here we go. Joe Biden, here we go. Joe Biden decides to not run again letter. Here we go, right here. This was done on 7/13, I believe, people. Let's look this up. I think this guy nailed it. I think he nailed it. I really do. I want to say he nailed it. That was, I hate when I can't get it right. I want to say 7/13. I want to say 7/13. I'm usually able to pull it up, but I can't. Joe wrote a letter. He wrote a letter. He wrote a letter. He drops out. You guys remember that? Joe dropped out. Gotta be in this one here. Gotta be in this one. Joe drops out on, what, 7/13 it was? July 21st. Okay, let's say around July 21st. July 21st. Joe, so between July 21st, wow, she reached the peak. July, so you got July, August, September, October. So in 3.5 months, what are you saying? In 3.5 months, she fizzled out. Yeah, she began to fizzle out about a month ago. I think he's right. Put in the comment section if you think so. But check this out. Here we go. End of game. Donald Trump expected to appear on Joe Rogan. This came out a day ago. So Trump is going on Joe Rogan, it appears. Did Kamala hear about it? Listen.
Well, this is huge. And for people who don't understand the Joe Rogan phenomenon and the massive, massive reach he has and the type of audience he has, Alex, because it's not just conservatives or right-leaning people. Joe Rogan was a big Bernie Sanders fan for the longest time. The whole COVID craziness seemed to red pill him a little bit, but he's got a very diverse audience, a massive audience, and Trump appearing on that program, I think, is going to be significant.
Yeah, 100%. I think that could be a huge difference in this election if he can actually sway some voters, because Joe Rogan has a libertarian type audience. So it's really going to be able to be a huge, I mean, this could be the momentum that Trump needs. And really, we're in the ninth inning. I mean, we're in the fourth quarter, whatever metaphor you want to say or analogy. I mean, it's the end of the game. So they need to, throw everything.
He's right. This is it. This is the ninth inning. And again, maybe this is why Obama went and did what he did last week, about 4 or 5 days ago. In my humble opinion, he gonna play the blame game in case she loses. It wasn't me who made her lose, it was the black man. See how all this is coming together? Then last, let me go with this. This was put out 4 hours ago. Talk about timing. They're thinking that she's going to go on Joe Rogan's show as well. In fact, he asked Joe Rogan about this same question.
When are you having Trump on?
I don't know.
Okay. The look,
I don't know. Maybe.
Looks like you got something.
Maybe.
Okay, good. That's good. I think that's...
Look, at a certain point in time, it's just like... It would be interesting to hear his perspective on a lot of things. I would like to know, what is it like when you actually get into office? I would like to know things like, what is it like versus perception?
Yeah.
What is it actually like when you get in that building? Like, what are you greeted with? When do you know that people are fucking with you?
By the way, you can't.
When do you know that
FYI, and I told him this. I said, just so you know, if you
did not know that was going to happen, I forgot about that. Hopefully I don't get in trouble. But look at this here. I want to show you something. Is fate speaking? When he asked the question, it was episode number 2016. And Trump ran in 2016, right? Interesting. So what's your take, people? What do you think? Do you think that she's in a desperate mode and Maybe she knows somebody in the Trump, just speculating, camp who's saying, look, you better go on Joe Rogan, or you better go on this show, you better go on that show. You better start talking about black issues because you're losing in the polling when it comes down to black people, especially black men. Is she reacting now because speculatively 5 or 6 weeks ago, she started losing momentum? That's my point. What do you think, people? Do you think she has lost? Is she running on fumes and now she's desperate and she's trying to get in position to be interviewed now, certain spots, certain YouTubers, wherever, put my face into place and sell because she realized that she's losing? I'm Fred Shai Pearson. Tell me what you think. Thumbs up, subscribe. God bless.